I find this week's episode of Am I Actually the Strongest to be quite the head scratcher because, on one hand, it reveals the biggest twist and piece of information that I wanted to know more about. Because Iris, is she a demon? And then it's like, oh no, apparently we're just saying she's not. And then, just casually, she's actually the reincarnation of the Demon Lord, which, goddamn, we were all thinking Haruto. Everything was going on and how people look at him. That could be the direction they're going. But on the flip side, this episode's also the weirdest slice of life episode where they casually reveal that information as Big Chested Flay takes a bath. And maybe we should just say, you know what, that's what we should expect from this show. It's gonna have some intense moments, some big plot twists, but at the same time, it's just a boy trying to be in need and being able to do anything other than that, and I guess that's why we like it, right? Now, full live reaction episode 10 of Am I Actually Strongest is available on my Patreon, so if you would like to see that, head on over there, consider supporting. This was a good episode. This is a very interesting episode, and the biggest thing I think many people will talk about is the reveal of who this woman is. I really wasn't sure. Throughout the episode prior to this moment being revealed, I'm every time she talks, the way, there's certain phrases, the way she'll be like, oh yeah, in human society, this is how this happens, right? And it's okay, well then that means she's a demon. Because especially when Haruto calls it out, you see the sweat go down her cheek, but at the same time, there is this element of genuine, no, I'm a human. And it's okay, I believe it, but I don't believe it, right? And I think the reveal with the name was a brilliant touch because you really don't see it coming, because she initially says her name, but they cut it off. And I was like, wait a second, have we already heard her name? Is there a reason for this? There doesn't seem to be a reason why you would silence that, right? And then we get the bath scene, of course, and she's talking about how she was kind of like the right-hand woman to the Demon Lord, right? And the fact that you can't say this name out loud, and then she says it's Irisphilia or something like that. And the idea that basically Haruto, towards someone like Flay, he's someone who shortens names, which is a very similar trait to that of the Demon Lord. And the fact that he immediately is towards her oh, can I call you Iris? And she's it kind of reminds me because I used to do that back in the day. So I think this does make a whole lot of sense. And I don't think they're blueballsing us here. I think they 100% confirm the fact that she is the reincarnation of the Demon Lord. Whether or not she remembers that is up in the air, but I think given her worry, I think she does know. Now, it's very interesting because prior to that, they're kind of talking about very similar aspects that Haruto went through. So she was abandoned, I think they said 4 times, and before basically being settled at a church or something like that. And the idea that pretty much, if we look at Haruto, when he was a baby in the forest, he was basically talking to a giant fox or a dog, whatever the hell she's supposed to be. And yeah, that would probably cause most people to be quite scared, which is most likely what happened with her, which makes her look like a demon of some sort, or a demon spawn, so to speak. And it's interesting because they have so much in common, but it was a matter of where they were going, because when he asks, hey, are you a demon? She's checking all over, and I'm okay, yeah, she's 100% a demon, but it feels more like they're going the route of she remembers or is maybe slightly aware of the past life, but at the same time, she truly knows she's human as it stands, and maybe she's worried about becoming that. I don't know, but either way, it's a very good plot twist. It's something that I think we were all wondering about, because we look earlier into the season, a lot of the remarks that come from characters pretty much were trying to indicate that Haruto could be the second coming of the Demon Lord. Hell, even the parents of Haruto, the adopted parents that is, pretty much were worried just about that. But it seems more no, the reincarnation did happen, and the Demon Lord is now in this girl's body in terms of her new life sort of a thing. But it's interesting to see how similar her life and Haruto's is in terms of a magical ability, because she's being able to recognize that the barrier's up. She can't quite see it, but she can make it out. She's able to tell that, I can tell that the Haruto clone and the Haruto that I'm currently talking to are probably 2 different people. There's just a lot to it, and I think these are the types of moments that make me appreciate the story a lot more than the show initially started out as sort of a thing. The thing I've been constantly saying about this show is that I really walked in thinking it was going to be a simple, fun show, and it has been a simple, fun show in a lot of scenes. But the idea of where this man's trying to go and how he gets roped into more and more crazy things is a really compelling adventure. And like I said, this episode's weird because it's also kind of a random slice of life episode. We get to learn a bit more about the school, learn that there's kind of 2 curriculums that he can take up. One's pretty much on the path of knighthood, and the other is research. And of course, we know he could do well at either or, but research is the one that's probably best suited for someone trying to stay indoors and be a NEET. And of course, we knew this lolly teacher was going to rope him in somehow. I just wasn't sure exactly how, because he got out of it, and then of course, Iris has to be oh yeah, I'm going to study ancient magic. And he's you gotta be shitting me. The one teacher I'm trying to avoid at all costs, and you're forcing me. It's all right, I said we're friends. We're going to do this. It's funny because Haruto says like he doesn't have any friends, including his original life, and then you think about the monster village, you think of his family, you think of the prince and princess who are basically drooling at the mouth, and it's like, bro, you really think you don't have friends? Oh, my sweet, sweet innocent child, yes you do. But it was fun with the very mini reunion we got with the two royal members, because at first I was kind of confused why he didn't recognize the prince. But then when he stands up and you see the beefcake, like he's literally ripped, like he's much more tall. Like you might be able to make the argument he should have been like, oh, he might be related to so-and-so. But at the same time, it's not like he's been thinking about the prince all too much. So, I mean, he's obviously very infatuated with Haruto, but the feelings aren't mutual. But I mean, I love how he's kind of like envious, if not jealous, about like how beefy he is, but despite him actually taking him out quite easily, it's just Haruto I love. He's such a mixed bag of a character who's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna be lazy. I'm gonna do this, that, and the third. But then at the same time, he's just navigating the school and basically wrapping everyone around his little thing. He's doing it with his pinky only, man. Like the dude's got skill. And honestly, based on a couple of the remarks in the hallway, it also seems like the ladies thinks he's a bit of an eye catch as well, but might just be because he also kicked someone's ass with a single punch, but you know what? I ain't gonna judge. I think really the only question I leave this episode is what happened to Char, because we know she watches a lot of anime, and knowing the type of anime that could be on their Netflix account, I very much wonder if this is simply just, you know, the mother influencing the daughter to say marry Haruto someday, or if she might have turned on Ori emo one day and she now has a brother complex because of that. Either way, anime ruined her. Like, there's no other way to put it, man. She is completely corrupted. I mean, she has meetings with monsters, including skeletons and giant stone golems, about what to do about things and how it's just so weeb and just cringe. But she's such an adorable cinnamon roll, and I think that moment when he thinks about how like someday she's gonna grow up and just hate him and like talk shit, and he doesn't want that to ever happen. I think we need at the very least an OVA minimum. Season 2 I love, but an OVA minimum so we can get to see older Char just talk shit to Haruto, because I think both seeing him and the clone just completely just wallow in self-pity would be so fantastic. But like I said, it's a weird episode. I don't really use that as an insult. It's weird in the way that it's like, okay, when's the last time I've seen a major plot twist, plot point get dropped as big titties are floating in the water, as you say the most important name in this world seemingly, as then you cut back to the actual conversation. Somehow Am I Actually the Strongest meets that simplistic just whatever isekai fun of the season, but then also has these elements of how he punishes bad people or the deeper meaning with the plot in the background, and it's honestly pretty fantastic. But let me know what you thought of episode 10 and the plot twist down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more videos to the channel. And of course, like I mentioned, we do have a full live reaction over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're there, you also get a video shout out like Little Big Trouble, Luke, Maya, Meteor, and Michael Barnes are getting today. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Take care and have a good one.